President stresses the need to stop supplying the Syrian opposition with weapons, halt violence and start dialogue in Syria. In Jerusalem City, the Passport and Immigration Department is reopened for citizens as the Syrian army continue to pursue terrorists in the region. And Jordan confirms the return of 35,000 of displaced Syrians voluntarily home. Russia's president violence in Syria and decides to sit at the dialogue table. Answering a question on Russian weapon shipments to Syria, Putin said that there is no embargo in supplying countries with weapons, adding that the Syrian opposition acquired 3.5 tons of weapons lately through the airports of Syria's neighboring countries only, according to the Washington Post, and that what should be stopped. President Putin concluded that an agreement on Syria was reached in Geneva, but unfortunately Russia's Western partners moved away from it again. A source at the Russian Navy said that two Russian vessels, Nevelsky and Privetsit, have arrived in Tartus would arrive in Tartus in the second half of May. Russia Today channel quoted the source as saying that a number of ships affiliated to the Pacific Ocean Fleet, including an anti-submarine vessel, Panteliv, would carry out some combatant exercise in the Mediterranean shortly. Brazil affirmed its stance, which calls for solving the crisis in Syria through dialogue, rejecting any foreign military intervention in the country's internal affairs. Brazil Foreign Minister's Under-Secretary General for Political Affairs, Paulo Cordero, said during a meeting with Syria's consul in Brazil, Ghassan Obeid, that Geneva statement is one of the basic factors to resolve the crisis in Syria, referring that Brazil's stance is harmonized with the stances of BRICS group. He underlined Brazil's rejection of arming the terrorist groups which exploit the crisis in Syria as the sole track to impose their agenda on the situation there. In turn, China called for finding a political solution to the crisis in Syria, reiterating its rejection of foreign interference and solving the crisis through military action. The Chinese envoy to the Middle East, Wu Siki, said that the right path for solving the crisis in Syria is the political solution, warning against the repercussions of military solution on the region as a whole. A woman was killed and 13 others were wounded as a result of mortar shells that were launched by terrorists near the Rifai Mosque, the residential quarters in Kafarsusa area, and Tushin Sports City in Damascus. A source at the police command in Damascus said that the terrorist attack also caused huge damage to a number of cars and nearby houses. A Syrian army unit destroyed a machine gun equipped car and killed a number of terrorists at Al-Huli Aqrab Road in Hama countryside. A source in the city said that another unit of the armed forces targeted terrorist gatherings between the villages of Al-Ahwaz and Al-Ahwaja in Hama countryside, killing and injuring a number of terrorists. In related context, unit of the Syrian armed forces pursued the armed terrorist groups in Idlib countryside, killing a number of terrorists and injuring others. The army destroyed rocket launchers and machine gun equipped cars. A military source said that a unit of the armed forces targeted terrorists gatherings in the villages of Saraqib, Binnish and Ma'arat Nasrin, killing and injuring a number of terrorists. The source added that another unit of the armed forces targeted a terrorist den in Kafruma town in Idlib countryside, destroying 3 rocket launchers and 3 cars equipped with machine guns. Another unit of the armed forces clashed with an armed terrorist group in Tel Millis town in Marat Noma and countryside. A number of terrorists were killed and others were injured in that clash. A unit of the Syrian Arab Armed Forces controlled Sukaina area in Daraya following a qualitative operation that resulted in the killing of all terrorists hiding in that shrine. The unit defused a number of explosive devices and confiscated a large amount of weapons and ammunition, including RPG launchers, hand bombs, snipers and medical equipment. In Homs, a car loaded with explosive devices exploded yesterday in Al-War neighborhood as the casualties were only material. A number of explosives exploded in that car, which led to a minor damage in the nearby buildings and the parked cars. Meanwhile, the engineering units in the Syrian Arab Army dismantled the other explosive devices. Jordan asserted the return of about 35,000 displaced Syrians. These people escaped the bad conditions which they are suffering from in a Zaatari camp and other refugee places in Jordan. The Syrian Refugee Affairs media spokesperson in Jordan clarified that the concerned bodies managed to return of about 2,500 refugees from a Zaatari camp to their country upon the request due to the great suffering they face due to humanitarian and medical shortage, in addition to the kidnapping, looting and fires inside the camp. Moving to Deir ez-Zor, where Immigration and Passport Department reopened its doors again for citizens after being exposed to sabotage acts by the armed terrorist groups like other services sectors in the city. The Immigration and Passport Department witnesses an active movement as the department gave facilitation to citizens, starting from the applications going to all other offices and sections till the delivery of their passports. All that was after the Syrian Arab Army restored security to the parts of the city, and life is now back to normal in these parts. That was it. For more details on our website www.syriaonline.sy. Stay with us after the break. Our economic news that will give you details on the economic situation in Syria and more after the break.
Good afternoon. The Minister of Agriculture, Ahmed Al-Qadir, asserted that the Technical Committee for deciding wheat prices is going to hold a meeting tomorrow to add the crop's production requirements increase to the price of wheat for those who want to deliver the crops to the general establishment of cereals. He pointed out that the government is going to grant prizes to those who market their crops to other governorates. He added that the agricultural plan was well implemented and that the areas cultivated with wheat reached more than 1,300,000 hectares. The volume of the weekly dealings at the Damascus Securities Exchange reached more than 330,000 shares. The value of the dealing exceeded 27,446,000 Syrian pounds. The DWX index registered more than 792 points. The banking sector came first in terms of value and volume of dealings, followed by insurance and industry. The Iranian Securities Exchange registered 40,000 units during the early exchange of shares. The Iranian stock market started the new fiscal year with more than 38 points, while the trade volume in Tehran Securities Exchange exceeded 39 units on the second day of its new year. This would support the shares that the Iranian companies are offering. West Texas Intermediate crude capped the biggest weekly drop in 6 months, as U.S. employers hired less than half the number of workers forecast during March, raising concerns that the economic growth will not be strong enough to support the oil demand. U.S. stocks fell, capping the biggest weekly decline of the year for the Standard & Poor's Index, after data showed that the nation added less than half the number of jobs offered. European stocks posted their biggest weekly decline since November, as reports signaled that the economic rebound in the U.S. has slowed. The Japanese stocks, on the other hand, jumped the most in 8 weeks as the yen slumped. Gold extended losses for a third day after 12 years of gains. Unconcerned that the investors are seeking higher returns in other assets as the global economy is recovering. The dollar declined to the lowest level in more than a week against the euro, after the U.S. employers added fewer jobs during March than forecast. This fueled speculations that the growth in the world's biggest economy is slowing down. With this, we conclude our news. Thank you for watching and goodbye.